Welcome to the Idaho Commercial Kitchen at the Idaho Innovation Center. Our goal at the Idaho Commercial Kitchen is to provide a place to grow the culinary experiences of food entrepreneurs right here in Eastern Idaho. The Idaho Commercial Kitchen is proud to offer an affordable, certified commercial kitchen space where food entrepreneurs can safely craft culinary products as well as receive business support to properly market their food and services. Come join us in our kitchen at the Idaho Innovation Center.
Welcome to the Business Boys Talkin-Business show with your hosts, Brian Magleby and Tyler Price.
Hey.
Wow.
We're back.
Welcome to 2023. We're up and going.
Wow. Yeah, we've taken a bit of a vacation, but now we are back.
A couple of weeks we got off. The first time we actually didn't record shows. And nice. I got a little vacation, and you're heading out on a vacation.
I am. I'm going to a warmer climate for a second. So
wow. Well, we are in all new digs here, a new studio at the Idaho Innovation Center.
Still have Tyson helping us out, but yeah.
We do. But man, if you saw that sheet, the little slide that was there before, we have some new sponsors, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we should probably, do you want to talk about them?
Let's just talk about what these new things. So we got the Man Cave Innovations. Man Cave Innovations is awesome. They are going to be providing all of our technical equipment. Hasn't arrived yet.
Okay.
So we're still using some of our old equipment, but we are going to be having all new cameras, microphones, everything from Man Cave Innovations. Man, my buddy there, Rourke Burke, is just stepping it up and going to be excited to have him doing that. Style House Decor. Oh yes, all these nice couches and chairs and pillows and blankets and decorations, all brought to us by Christy Carlquist at Style House Decor and Staging. And
she's doing a great job helping houses that the people moved out and don't have their houses, they're just barren.
Houses
sell better and she has gone in and helped move houses because of the staging that she's done.
Absolutely great. Christy Carlquist there with Style House. We got BBSI. They are on board with this. We've got an exciting segment that BBSI is going to be talking about. We call it Total BS.
Yeah.
Total BS.
I like it. That's fun.
Business Spotlight. That's what it's all about. Yeah. So every week we're going to have a special segment done by BBSI that will be talking about Total BS, Business Spotlight. We got an exciting client we're going to be talking about today.
And then Amy Romwell that owns Mrs. Powell's is doing a little bit of a prize for people in terms of
every week we're going to have a trivia contest, and we're going to have and then there will be a half dozen cinnamon rolls that will be delivered every single week.
Wow. My mouth's watering right now. So.
And we've got our same ones, New Line Media. We appreciate Tyson. New Line Media is just doing absolutely great things. They are they've adapted to coming over here to our new studio at the Innovation Center.
Yep. You got that new kitchen that you're launching. And the video that was Tyson did put that video together. Very nicely done. So,
and we've had some updates on our website. So we appreciate Ryan at Vulpine Marketing. And of course, the SBDC and the Idaho Innovation Center. Yeah. This whole program is brought to you by the Idaho Innovation Center. And that's why we've invested in this program, and we've got our new facility here at the Idaho Innovation Center. So this studio that we're sitting in now is going to be able to the community, if they need a place like this with amazing green screen. Oh, isn't that picture beautiful?
Yeah, it is. It's really nice.
So here in Idaho Falls, we see that all the time as we go there. So, but this studio is here for people. We have multiple things that we can do here in the studio. We can do podcasts, which we're changing ours that we'll have a podcast format on this. There's also going to be a photo backdrop. There'll be the green screens that we've got all the way wrapped around us. And all of this will be available for rental to the public as well. So
yeah, that's awesome.
So we're excited today. We've got a great show lined up. We've got Jay Larsen from the Idaho Technology Council. He is going to be our guest today on the show. And you got to stay tuned. At the end of the show, we're going to have our Total BS segment sponsored by BBSI, and then the trivia contest by Mrs. Powell. So all that's coming up here. We appreciate the audience that's following us, and we're excited. Let's talk about the trainings that we have. We've got a sheet here that talks about the trainings that we have coming up with the SBDC. We've got a Systemizing Sales for Success. This is a class starting next month in March. Our friend Jared Oviatt from BBSI will be leading that class out for, I think, the third or fourth time. What an amazing class. Let me just tell you, every business owner should be at that.
Well, sales is the lifeblood of every business. So if you're not emphasizing it and really getting after it and have a methodology, you better get one, because I don't know what you're doing if you're not.
That's right. So every business should be there. Every time I go to that class, the content is literally gold that he's showing that he's sharing in that class. And there's not a business that's out there that shouldn't be at that. We've got Business Essential Startup. This is for people who are newer to business and are just getting a business up and going. That starts in March as well. And then we've got Foundations of Business Success. This is the core. If you want to know why businesses fail within 5 years, which 90% of them do, if you don't want your business to be part of that, you definitely need to be part of that Foundations of Business Success. We will teach you all the things that are crucial to help you stay in business past that 5-year point. So, yep. And then we got QuickBooks. in May as well. We're excited about that. We also have some virtual learning classes. These happen. We had one this week on the disc. And we'll be kind of revisiting that. If that interests you in the DISC personality test, you need to contact us here, and we can still get you in on that. And then the next one's on intellectual property. So that's going to be a great one in March. So there's the code. If you want to check into all of our classes, scan that code there. So let's talk about this. Jay Larsen.
Yeah, he does cool stuff.
Wow, all I can say.
We got tech in Idaho.
We posted this on all of our social media, and all the responses were, he's a rock star. Yeah. He's the rock star of Idaho in business. So
hopefully we get
to have him kick off our first show.
Yeah, hopefully we talk a little bit about Micron. I hear they might be doing a small expansion over there.
They in Boise, might be. So he's going to tell us all about the big things happening in Boise. So we're excited to be here in our new studio and the new digs for this new year. And but we're going to watch this video, and then we'll welcome Jay Larsen onto the set.
As we adapt to changing times where organizations and government agencies are working remotely, it is increasingly important for us to stay connected with local tech companies like Cradlepoint, Truckstop.com, Experis, FlexTrax, Idaho Central Credit Union, as well as Mayor Debbie Kling and Mayor Rebecca Cashmer. Isn't there a direct correlation usually with the goods transported across the country and the health of the economy and possibly going into a recession or something like that? Is there a direct correlation there?
What's cool on the technology side, people are having to, like the webinar usage, you talk about the bandwidth that just skyrocketed.
Discuss what Idaho's economy and government leaders are doing to ensure Idaho's economy weathers the storm.
Idahoans also have a culture of taking care of each other. We have a culture that includes doing things intelligently and the right way. And I think that's part of what's going to see us through.
So I should not just limit it to the United States, to the world. That is fantastic.
Yeah, I don't want you to sell us short, Jay. Come on.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks. This is Jay Larsen with the Idaho Technology Council, keeping you connected with industry and government, because in Idaho, innovation matters. Innovation matters. Innovation matters. Thank you all, and be safe out there.
Good deal. Well, welcome back. And Tyler had to leave, so we brought
the B team,
the pinch hitter in here, Jared Oviatt from BBSI. Yes, he'll be on here at the very end of the show talking about his Total BS segment. But I asked Jared to step in here and help me because Tyler had to go get some dental work done. So anyway, we're excited to have you. Thank you for being here. We've had some meetings today. We've been in meetings since early this morning with Jay Larsen with the Idaho Technology Council, and Jared's been in those as well. So we're excited to have you on this side of the state.
I'm excited to be here. It's great always to be with Jared. BBSI rocks the house, and they're going to be swinging for the fences all the time. So good job, Jared.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good. So Jay Larsen, tell us about what's happening with the Idaho Technology Council. This is one of the biggest organizations tell everybody what exactly that you do.
Well, the Idaho Technology Council is the voice from industry to be able to drive innovation and technology in Idaho. It fundamentally, it's got to be one of the biggest things we do in Idaho. Like sometimes right now, with all the growth that's been taking place in our state from the impact of COVID and people looking for getting a quality of life or values, people who move to our state usually say those are the two main things they're looking at when they move. And we've had significant growth in our state. But what we should look at is, as we evaluate the future of Idaho, is how innovative our state is, which essentially, when you break it down, it's going about how innovative our business leaders and entrepreneurs are to come up with new products today, but more importantly, new products that are going to meet their customers' demands in the future.
Yes.
So that's what we do. So we really look at capital. We look at how talent meets the demands of those companies that are growing. We look in industry segmentation is really big with that. And then the last thing we look at is how you get ideas to market. So you can really evaluate the innovation of a community by the new products and services that are, and the intellectual property that's being generated from that community. Hopefully you're going to be able to say, you know what, we have a lot of companies and individuals or entrepreneurs that are doing some amazing things. Yeah. And these are the products and services you have.
Yeah.
And I'll say one other thing. The other thing that we really look at fundamentally is the purpose of a business is to be able to create a customer. And what you're creating are new products and services to do that. So if you want to see how innovative Idaho is, you'll be able to say how innovative its new products and services are.
Yeah, and I know that most of these things, Boise's kind of the hub. They get all they got the big companies, the Microns, the HPs, the Albertsons, and all that kind of stuff over there. But there's things happening over here in eastern Idaho as well, too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What I was impressed about a couple of years ago, how in the size of the market, Idaho Falls, of a city that it is, was the number one place to live in the United States.
Yeah.
It speaks immensely about the quality of life that exists here and what Idaho Falls has to offer and eastern Idaho has. I think that having things like the Idaho National Laboratory, that's about a $4 billion research facility that's in your backyard. How can you not take advantage of what's here with respect to the intellectual opportunity that it offers? Now, to say that Idaho Falls and INL is what it would be erroneous, because there's so many things outside of that. But to be able to look at that in aggregate and how the university systems want to connect and support what's happening at INL, so you can take advantage of all of this capacity. You look at two things. There has been about 40,000 patents filed in Idaho from 1976 to today. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's about 50,000. Out of that, about 90% of those were in the Boise area. So let's
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But let's take a look at that. Almost all of those were, out of those 90%, the vast majority of those were done at Micron.
Yes, probably.
Okay. So Micron's one of the biggest patent portfolios out of almost any company in the United States.
Yeah.
The next largest one was INL.
Was it really?
Patents. So you can look at all these, but then you say, okay, where are other patents and where are other intellectual property like trademarks and other things taking place? And how does trade secrets play into this now? Because patents have been going up in Idaho significantly, but trade secrets also. But the problem with trade secrets is that they're secrets.
Yeah.
So you don't know.
You don't know about it.
But you know that that's a big part of the intellectual property portfolio of a company, because a lot of times you don't want to deal with a patent. You don't want to disclose any information that somebody might ultimately know. You want to keep that close to at hand. So there's a lot of ways to do different things. But fundamentally, if you don't have entrepreneurs that are taking risks and companies that are taking risks, then you're going to have a very average or mediocre community. Mm-hmm. So what we're all about is making sure that the communities in Idaho, like Idaho Falls has proven, that they excel. There's another one that came out about 4 years ago, right before COVID, that said, it was called Livability, the most livable cities in the United States.
Yep.
The second most livable city in the United States was Raleigh, North Carolina. Boise was number one. Idaho Falls was on that list, and a couple in North Idaho on the top. And it's awesome when you take a look at having Idaho Falls, Northern Idaho, Moscow was even on this list, right, in the top 100. You have so many places in Idaho that are wonderful places to live. But I will come back, if you don't have innovation in your community becomes backwater. And you feel it because it's hard to be able to say how you're going to do things in your school districts. It's hard to see how you're going to do things to be able to further the livability of it. Because when you start talking about arts and sciences and all these type of things, it's because companies have amazing things that they're doing and investing in your companies. Yeah. And invest in your community. So,
well, this is amazing to see and you came over here today also to meet with another company. It was a company that we actually had on the show in our invention show back in August, and we had you meet with him, and so we have some things going on over here in Eastern Idaho.
No question about it. I would. You know what, we've been talking, and actually we had a meeting with you, all three of us.
Yes.
And what our objective is in the spring is to have a meeting where we actually get the ability to be able to highlight a lot of the things that are going on, and then talk about where we are today, but what does the future look like with that opportunity with innovation? Yeah. And innovation is really the application of new ideas and thoughts. It's really, and technology is the application of innovation. So we have the chance to be able to say, okay, what industry segments are really growing and flourishing here? Obviously, the traditional ag tech and stuff like that is really a fundamental part. Precision agriculture and those type of things are really big in Eastern Idaho, but there are so many more things about that are happening over here. And that's what we want to do, is have a conference where we actually talk about that and how talent's being met here, how capital is starting to flow to the state. And this part of the state, and really highlight some of the amazing things. I was amazed at the technology at a place like Melaleuca. You sit there and you watch what they do.
$1 billion company now.
Yeah, and they have some amazing technologies that they optimize there. But there's a lot of companies that do that. So we'd love to be able to highlight those and really talk more about the innovation in Eastern Idaho.
So I've got a question for you. You talk about the innovation that's happening just statewide, and you have a lot of experience on the pure technology side in innovation. What other kind of big things would you like to see that to kind of fill in the picture in terms of just innovation across the state? Do you see any sort of sea change, or do you see just more of a narrow focus? Like, what's your, 50-cent version of what do you see coming down the pipe, and what would you like to see coming down the pipe?
Well, I'd like to give you my $5 version, if that's all right, Joe, because that 50 cents has changed a lot.
We don't play planes around here.
Yeah. So what I'd love to see is, for instance, semiconductors has been a big thing. The current president has made a big deal on
trying to onshore that again.
Yes, onshore, and in his State of the Union address, he talked about that on the semiconductor industry. Well, Idaho is one of the top 7 states in the United States to be able to represent the semiconductor industry in a large measure because of Micron. But then you have On Semiconductor, which was just purchased recently, in Pocatello. There's another part of that on over in in the Boise area. There are a couple other U.S. Semiconductor located in the state, and those type of ones. So we need to be able to look for ways to be able to bring that together and to continue to build the momentum in that. And it might be some other adjacent industries or companies, because every company or every industry utilizes semiconductors to be able to implement smart technologies. So that might be one. The other one that I really think is really a big one is food manufacturing and processing. That you kind of take a layer above that and you go up and you say, okay, how can sustainability work within all of these areas with how we optimize water and other resources and the generation of electricity and all these other type of things, but then talk about how food production is fundamentally one of the places. What I've really liked is places like Twin Falls. When you take a look at Silicon Valley is to computer science and software as Twin Falls is to food processing. Yeah. And now, but there are a lot of places over here, when you take a look at the food processing that's taking place over here and other places in the northern part of the state and east and the western part of the state, so we can create better nexus points between some of these technologies. I think that the other part is you start taking a look at artificial intelligence and big data, because every company is going to have that. Every company is going to play in this space somehow, where they optimize data and how they're going to use it more for their customers' benefit. So there are places that we can do that. Internet of Things and mobility is big because everybody does that now. You take a look at the smartphones and now the ability for us to be able to do things on the move and how vital that is to the ability to conduct business. I'm sitting there going to Boise State game, and no more do I ever I haven't used tickets for over a year, 2 years about. And I always sit there and I've downloaded it in my wallet and then you just walk through and it just scans it is, and those are your tickets. No longer, it's all ticketless, right? But everything is like that now. So I'm sorry, I'm talking a little bit too much about that $5.
No, that's all right.
You got your $5 worth out of it.
$10 worth.
Yeah, maybe 10, yeah. So
good. Well, tell us about some of the wins that's happened over that you've seen happening in the state of Idaho in the past year or so. You were on the show, I think, a year and a half ago or so when we had you over here. But kind of talk about what are some of the wins that you've seen in some of the businesses.
Well, let me tell you about two things that happened. We talked to a lot of people that have moved to our state. And the reason they move to Idaho is because they say, you know what, we want a better quality of life. And so we say, what does that mean? And then they always inevitably say something about values, how values, and it's family values is what they're talking about. So that's one that we've always heard. And then the second part that we always hear is that they like the outdoors. Yeah. So let's keep the outdoors.
We have all that.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Yeah, let's keep it quiet here.
So that means that we have a lot. So what we've been seeing is there's a lot more talent in Idaho because of this migration that's taken place. We have to make sure we do all we can to support and mine that. It's not what I think that people have always said, that a lot of people sit there and they want to hold on to the trunk of the tree and say, well, we don't want all these people coming in. You know, the vast majority of people are coming in are coming from California, right? But the opportunity with those people, because they're coming in because of values, outdoor, the things that we value. And then they're also coming in with new, they might be a remote worker. Idaho is the second largest remote working state in the union. Yeah. The first one is Tennessee.
Is it really?
So you're looking at all these places and you're going, Idaho has all these amazing workers. So if you're saying we're going to attract all these folks, let's find out how we can make sure we take advantage of the intellectual capacity that they're bringing and networks like we were talking about earlier, Jared. We're making connexus and nexus points. Yeah. And these connections are going to be the most vital ones that we have.
What are some companies that you've specifically seen have big wins? Probably, I mean, we know Micron's just doing amazing things over there. What are some other companies that you see doing that are movers and shakers?
Well, we were at a conference. We had a leadership conference in McCall with all of our board of trustees. And we had our CIO from Micron, Anand Ball, and he was at the meeting at 8 a.m. on a Thursday. He said, I can make an announcement now. We're going to put a $15 billion expansion in Boise.
Oh, wow. Just a minor announcement.
And he said, and it hit at 8 o'clock that morning. And what the reason that was so important is that Micron, from my standpoint, is Micron made a major investment in Idaho where its headquarters is in. I was at another meeting two weeks ago with Sanjay, the CEO, and he said, as long as I'm CEO, Micron will be our headquarters. So the focus here now, understand that Micron's invested, they're a global company and they invest in a lot of different places, but to be able to keep that R&D and everything, that headquarters in Boise is a big thing.
Very good.
So that's a big win. There's a whole bunch of other stuff we can talk about Micron, but let's look at a couple other companies. There are companies that are just doing some amazing things. You've got a company that was called Count. Mm-hmm. Count was a cyber company that dealt with credit card fraud. Mm-hmm. That's how it all started. So it would help you identify all these things. So they use AI and all these other big data to be able to instantaneously tell you if that MasterCard has had fraudulent activity with it. And they'll work with companies similar to Home Depot, all these other major Targets and all these other ones. They'll help protect them. They were purchased for probably about just under $700 million by Equifax, and now they're becoming a major part of the distribution of everything that's taking place with Equifax, and they're growing significantly in the Idaho business. Their office is here. Another one that's really, really fascinating has been George Mulhern was the CEO of Cradlepoint.
Yes.
And
Cradlepoint, they're a great company here.
Oh man, they're amazing. They were sold for about $1.1 million about a couple years ago to Ericsson, a Swedish company. Yeah. Now, all of the distribution and branding they use with Ericsson goes through Cradlepoint. Cradlepoint is fantastic and growing significantly on a global reach. And they're growing they have actually outgrown their operations.
They sold for how much? How much did you say?
$1.1 billion.
Billion. Okay, yeah. You said million, and
I say million?
There's no way that.
Okay,
that was a steal.
That was a steal of 1.1. Yes. In fact, I would have found a way to come up with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is how many with that 1.1 billion, how many other millionaires were made off of that. It would be similar to what you do with Stu Kent and what took place here.
Wonderful company here.
Stu Draper is, yes, an
he's been a guest on our show, and he is just lit on fire.
Oh, he's lights out. Yeah. Amazing. So what they've done, that's really a highlight. If you take a look at that, and you've talked about Stu. Yeah. And then I was going to, I tell you, the biggest financial deal that's taken place in our lifetime has been in a technology space outside the Micron stuff. It was been probably about a $4 billion deal with Clearwater Analytics. Mm-hmm. And they've had multiple deals. They just did an IPO last year, and the IPO, I think, was over $4.4 billion. So, wow. And that's a company that what they do is they had two founders. One of them was a roommate of mine at BYU, and we grew up together in Boise. Is that they went and they worked at Goldman Sachs, and they had all this financial information about how to do things, and they started a company to be able to help companies manage their finances and optimize them. And they built software. It's a company that they probably have one patent, but most of their stuff is all intellectual property. Wow. So they outperform. Their deal is be able to bring their stuff and outperform the other companies that they do through their intellectual property and their trade secrets. So it's that's a big one. And you talk about the rollover effect of all this in the marketplace. So the last point. Here's the last point I would make. What's different in Idaho from 1990, when
me and you were together in Boise.
In Boise, working in the wireless industry. Yeah. What's different in Idaho is that we had big bases. Idaho had more Fortune 500 companies per capita than anywhere else in the United States. What's happened, though, is that we did not have a middle market. Now, the companies I'm just talking about now, that's our middle market. Yeah. So it gives us the ability to have diversity and to really have strength in the middle market, because those are the ones that really bring a lot more intellectual property, gravitas, employees that are coming to the area, successes, innovation. It brings all of these things to the marketplace. So now we've got the early stage companies that are starting to come in, like the one we met with today. We've got the middle stage that's really starting to show strength in Idaho. And then, of course, legacy companies like a Simplot, Micron, and those type of things that are coming in. HP, Idaho Power, those type of things that are really big. And then, so that really gives us a stronger marketplace to be able to go. If you're going to look at Idaho Falls, you say, how's that middle? Because it's different because of the size of your communities. You don't want, so Idaho Falls needs to have a little bit more on the early stage, which will then move into a middle market.
Yeah.
So then you'll see that ability to do it. And fortunately, that's where Idaho's moved in, Boise's moved into that space, but they were not like that in 2000.
Yeah.
We did not have a middle market there.
Well, welcome to our first segment of Total BS. Yes, Total BS, the Business Spotlight, sponsored by BBSI. We're glad to have BBSI on to help us sponsor this segment of the show. Every week, we're going to be talking to a business that between the two of us, we're going to come up with businesses here around Eastern Idaho that we'll highlight and talk about.
Yeah.
Each and every week. Jared Oviatt, one of the key employees at BBSI here in Eastern Idaho, and you guys are even helping in the Southern Idaho Twin Falls office as well.
Yeah, we are. We really cover the whole state, but our footprint is basically Magic Valley.
All the way over.
All the way over.
Good. Well, we're glad to have Total BS sponsored by BBSI. But we have this great company, Brio. Talk about Brio.
We do. And this is no bull, right? So
exactly. No bull.
but Brio Healthcare, they are a home health and hospice company. And it's kind of a crowded space, but Brio really stands out for a couple of reasons. Is they lead with their heart. And when they lead with their heart and they're providing end-of-life care and elder care and rehabilitation care, those kinds of things in people's homes, it's a real compassionate space, and it's a real need that we lack a lot of great resources in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And Brio has been outstanding.
They've expanded too.
They have. So Corey Boyd is the owner,
mm-hmm.
and he purchased Brio a few years ago, I think just under 3 years ago now. And it was a going concern. But since then, he's been able to grow by leaps and bounds in the area, not because they do it different in terms of a different service model or different care providers that they have under their umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that they lead with their heart. And that comes through in everything that they do. Unlike a lot of the mass services that are provided in that space, they have a significant commitment to rural Idaho. So you think about underserved areas, Arco, Salmon area,
Mackey,
all of these kinds of places where people choose to live because of the great quality of life. Yet the healthcare services in those areas, it's almost like a healthcare desert.
Yep.
Now, we're very fortunate here in Idaho Falls.
There's multiple companies here, but man, these guys are just lighting it up here. I've heard so many good things about Brio. So
they are, and as a result of that commitment of their heart and that compassionate care that they deliver, they have actually grown at least 2 to 3 times faster than any of their competitors. So 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, they had about 35, 40 employees.
Wow.
And I think they're up over 75 now.
Wow.
Which really extends the reach on the people that they can serve.
Wow.
Now, not only are they investing in their people, but they have invested in purchasing a location in Salmon. And so February 15th this year,
next week,
next Wednesday.
Yes.
They're going to be having a hiring fair in Salmon to try to find local healthcare professionals, nurses, CNAs, med techs, that they can fold into their culture and extend their care into that region. They have recently remodeled a location in Mackey. So they want to put roots down, local service, local care, by members of the community that has that same core value of compassion and service that they do.
Yeah. This company is going places. Brio Home Health and Hospice. Encourage you to look them up. And what a great business to start. Total BS. And guess what? None of this was bull.
That's exactly right.
None of this was bull. So check them out. Total BS, Brio Home Health and Hospice.
So what's the 1 or 2 things that we can take some of that early stage to start to build that middle market base? What have you seen? What would you suggest? Because we have a lot of great small businesses in the community, but they really haven't cracked that next step. So what's critical to make happen?
Well, let's do a kind of a beta test on that on Stu Kent.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what we need. Yeah. We need to be able to get, because having a company, so what we're talking about are people that come up with innovative solutions like Stu Kent has within the education community, right? And then you look at those type of things where you can actually get 4 or 5 of those rolling. What is the opportunity there is that if you start getting more of those successes out, that's how you get that middle market a little bit larger. So if I could say it, let's find more Stu Kents. Let's get more of those. And that's that conference that we're talking about doing, is identifying companies that are in that. We've got another program that is called 50 to the A. And we're trying to advance 50 companies to the A round of funding. Yeah. And if within that, we've got a runway of about 60 companies that are on that. We need to get more in Eastern Idaho on that. I think we've got about 10 companies on that runway. We would love to be able to double that, triple that, because those are the ones that are going to be the throughput to be able to get it. Because once you get to the A round of funding, it's going to be about $10 million to $20 million. And it's going to validate that company is the lift that they're going to get, and the success they potentially are going to have is much. The success, they basically crossed the valley of death, and they're to the success and they lift. And so that will help get that middle market going a lot stronger.
Very good. Well, man, I can tell you that if there's anybody in the state of Idaho that is involved with these type of large companies, it is you, Jay Larsen. If there is a company out there that is talking funding and all that kind of stuff, you are involved. And I just got to say, you're doing an amazing thing for the business community here in Idaho. And thank you for the work that you do for keeping all of this. And I know you come out with this thing called the Idaho Knowledge Report that just talks about all these different companies and what the successes that they've had. So thank you for your work in keeping all of these big things happening in Idaho.
Well, and thanks, Brian. Thanks for all that you do at the Idaho Innovation Center. And I'm going to say that last point about it is that I think, honestly, that there's probably no place in the United States and in Idaho that has more opportunity for its future. The future is so bright in Idaho Falls because of all of the foundational pieces. The elements are here. Our opportunity is just to be able to harvest a little bit more and make it a little bit more that direction. So I think there's no other place in the United States. When you take a look at every place, what's the next big boulder? What's the next big place? And I'm not saying that, but this has its own identity. Idaho Falls has this identity, and I'm really bullish on Idaho Falls. So. Very
good. Well, thank you for coming and joining us today here in Idaho Falls. So we're got this new segment that we're going to have here. We're going to have Total BS with you here in a little bit, but we've got a new trivia contest. So I'm going to ask just a simple question here. So we're going to have an email that you're actually going to send this to, and we'll get that. I haven't got it to the production yet, but we will get that. So for right now, can you want to put my phone number up there, and you can text me. But in the future, you're going to have an email that you're going to send this to you. But text the 208-520-9400. Jay Larsen, you mentioned a company, and I'm just going to, if you had to have been watching the show, but you talked about a company that was recently acquired by another company out of this country in the cell phone business. Me and you have a long history in the cell phone business, but you got to tell me what the name of the company that acquired Cradlepoint. And if you get that, you're going to get a half dozen cinnamon rolls. Oh, does that sound good?
Sounds good.
I would love to be part of that.
Yeah,
I'd love to have them.
They should have delivered them here for us.
That'd be awesome.
So if you could tell us that name of that company, you're going to get half dozen cinnamon rolls from Mrs. Powell's. We appreciate Amy Romrell over there. And we appreciate you being here. We've got to step out to another meeting that is waiting for us, but we appreciate you coming over here and spending the time in Eastern Idaho. And best of luck, and keep us on the radar over there in Boise, would you?
Absolutely.
Great.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.